W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. WTUG HD2 Northport. W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I running back coach didn't take biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Live fan page on Facebook and YouTube at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. Simulcasting on all of those great outlets, as well as you can download Tide 100.9 app. Take us with you wherever you go. And don't forget about the great archives and podcasts and listen lives that you can find at Tide109.com. Tide 109, your home for Alabama sports, and the Martin Houston Show, kicking things off on this Thursday morning. And as is now our norm, we have X's and O's, Os-Xavier Houston, co-hosting with us this morning. Good morning, X. How you doing?
Good morning, doing good. How are you?
Good. Awesome. And I want to remind you, as I do each and every day, about this being a day that the Lord has made, but I got a little different angle. I want to ask you as Bama Nation to remember Kerry Good. He posted something yesterday that really challenged me this morning. Really challenged me about being grateful and to be thankful in all circumstances, not for all circumstances, which is a huge difference. And yesterday he had an opportunity at the post regarding a Sweet 16 birthday for his daughter, and it just convicted me of not just saying, take some time today to know that someone loves someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. He just talked about how easy it is to forget the many blessings we have when things go wrong, and how he misses the ability just to touch or shake hands or hug someone or physical touch. And any of us who went through last year with COVID and the last 18 months knows how difficult that could be. And with his battle with ALS, he's really been confined to that world for a long time. And yet he is one of the most positive people that I've met. So I wanted to highlight him, ask you to pray for him, remember him, go out and support the Kerry Good Foundation if you have opportunity to do so. What an unbelievable guy. And for me, it's kind of personal. The guy that wore number 35 before me played the same position, and the guy that played the position right before me both have struggled with this disease. And so I have huge respect for those guys. I know that's a little different than normal, but just this morning when I was reading that, felt like I need to just highlight a former Bama Nation guy and encourage you all to support him and pray for him and his family if he crosses your mind today. All right, X, let's get into it. It's interesting week. Of course, Bama coming off of a loss, and people struggling. So yesterday we spent the last 3 days trying to give a little therapy, and yesterday we took it over the top by letting them be the coach for a day. I will give one before I get your thoughts on it. One gentleman yesterday, as we were going off the air, put his thoughts up, and we didn't get to cover it, but it was a different perspective. CJ Watson, who's a regular contributor to the show, said, he said, if I was a coach for a day, I wouldn't do anything initially. He said, I would want to see how those who play respond. And it would help me identify those who are buying into what we're trying to say and wanting to get better. And then he said, once I saw how they responded, and even you could tell from the guys who were behind whether they pushed to get better, then I would make changes after that. So I thought that was totally different because everybody else was gonna I don't know where they were gonna get all those players from. They were benching everybody. They were benching coaches and putting coaches on notice. They were firing coaches and firing players, and some of them they were taking scholarships and stuff. And I'm like, well, if you take all those guys, where are you gonna get them from? So love to get your thoughts on it. So your coach for the day, what's item number one on Coach Houston's agenda after the Texas A&M loss?
I think it's been the biggest question this season, and that's the offensive line. Not a right tackle, so I would definitely look to move him actually back inside to center and give a Damian George, a J.C. Latham, a Tommy Brockemeyer, one of these big name guys, an opportunity. Because we keep seeing Chris struggle in space. So it can't be worse than what we saw Saturday. It can't be. So I would try to get one of those guys an opportunity. Chris was very solid playing inside last year after Landon got hurt. So I would feel comfortable moving him back to that position. And I honestly think this would potentially help Emil Ekiyor because last year he didn't struggle. He didn't have any problems. But I think him being stuck in between Dalcourt, who has struggled, and Owens, who has struggled at right tackle, has put him on the island and made him look worse than what he actually is.
Okay, so let's hold a couple things let's dig into there. First of all, no one has mentioned Tommy Brockemeyer till you mentioned him today. And let me tell you, one of the things that people, if you watch Chris Owens, he ducks his head, and doesn't always see his target. And part of it may be because of his bend at the waist. Now, that's what they say Tommy Brockemeyer struggled with, is that he's kind of bent over at the waist versus back up straight, butt down, head up. And so these elite pass rushers will first of all, you see them and now you don't when your head's down. Number two is they'll rush, push, and jerk because of your balance being leaned forward. So I don't, unless he's corrected that, I don't think he's going to get in there. We did hear that we saw George play a little bit last year. We saw a little bit of Latham. But if they haven't made this move, what does that tell you about those guys? I mean, is it that much loyalty to the veterans, or those guys just aren't ready to play?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those trick things because if they're running second team, they're going up against Will Anderson every day in practice. They're going up against Drew Sanders every day in practice. Chris Allen before he got hurt. Yeah. And we say Drew's the best pass rusher in college football, or he has that potential to be. So if they're getting their butts whooped by the best guy in college football, does that actually make it worse for them?
It could.
Make it worse in practice because they're getting beat by the best?
It could. It could totally ruin their confidence. It really could. Yes. I mean, hadn't thought about that angle, but absolutely, their confidence could be shot because of the fact that they, small successes can lead to big results. Continuous failure can lead to lack of confidence, and I guess that is a possibility. Some people say for some people it makes them better. It challenges them. But for some people, it doesn't. Some people, they start trying to compensate to win, and they start developing bad habits, bad techniques, and they don't get better. So I'm not sure on that, but something is going on. And do you think we see a change at the right tackle position?
Honestly, I don't. At this point, I would like to see it, but if we haven't seen it at this point, I don't know if we will, because I feel like Chris struggled early enough that you could have got these guys some more reps against the Southern Miss, a team that doesn't have as high caliber of players up front. But we didn't, Bama didn't, so I think we're probably going to be stuck with Chris the rest of the season unless he absolutely implodes in a game. And at this point, that could cost us the game that we don't have anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and then the other question, we'll kick the Dalcourt to the second quarter, but the other question I had for you was you said move Owens back down inside to center. He was struggling snapping the ball, so I'm not sure which one happened first. I'm not sure if Dalcourt beat him out or they moved him out because Randolph got hurt and Latham and George couldn't get the job done. So undoubtedly they had some concerns with him at center as well.
Well, I mean, they talk about the snap thing, and then Dalcourt has struggled with snaps as well.
But only one game. I will give him back. I'll be fair to him. Ole Miss was bad, but was that regarding communication? And they tried to. I think they tried to give him
snaps with Dalcourt.
Do what now?
I think it's more than just the snaps with Dalcourt. He hasn't been good in protection. The pressure that Alabama has gotten mostly from defenses this season has been off of the right edge and straight up the middle.
I agree with that. Let me think. Let's look at that protection on the other side. Let's look at what you talked about with Ekiyor. Is there a reason he seemed to be struggling and not taking the next step forward? Is it him or is it the chemistry? We talk about it quite often, how important those five guys have to play as a unit. And you brought up something regarding Ekiyor and his placement, because he goes from last year playing between Landon Dickerson and Leatherwood to this year playing between Owens and Dalcourt. That's a little different surrounding unit there. So we'll talk about that. We'll get your other thoughts on coaching decisions you might make as well on the offensive side, and then we'll flip over to defense as well. And in the second half, we'll get a little recruiting news update with Hank South 247 Sports. We got a caller waiting. If you want to be in on the conversation, the Taco Casa hotline is open for business, 205-342-9904.
Townsend Nissan Chapter Center, no wrecks, but minor delays on 2059 eastbound because of paving work near exit 71. If you see other conditions, just give us a call. It's big deal savings time right now at Townsend Nissan. Plus, if you stop by today or tomorrow, you can get your picture made with a real Heisman Trophy at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-324-4522. 800-324-4522. Don't wait. Call now. 800-324-4522. 800-324-4522. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays unseasonably warm today, partly to mostly sunny with a high at 88. For tonight, mostly fair, the low at 64. Tomorrow, partially sunny during the day. Then rain showers will likely arrive tomorrow night, the high at 87. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3240 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 66 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We have X's and O's co-hosting with us this morning is Xavier Houston. You can find him on all of the great outlets that host podcasts, as well as on Facebook at X's and O's Sports. That's Xavier Houston. X's, we were going to break there. We were talking about the O-line and some things there, but we got a couple of callers, so let's get to them and we'll circle back to that conversation. Welcome into the show, David from Georgia. Welcome back in, man. Glad to have you. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mark, no. My feelings are still hurt. My feelings are still hurt. It's been over a year, man. I've been wanting to tell you and your callers just how it really is.
Okay.
Here's the deal. We're getting our butt whipped in the trenches.
Yes.
And in that last game, there was a couple of freshmen on that freaking offensive line that were just, moving us to the right, moving us to the left. I mean, just treating us like, stacks of potatoes. They just whipped us. And here's my thinking. Ever since Cochran left, I've never felt good as far as, and that's both sides of the line, as far as our strength. Now, last year, we had a bunch of experienced offensive line guys that just pick up a truck. This year, on both sides, I really believe that they're just not strong enough.
Oh, wow.
I think you can toss them around. That defensive line hopefully nobody is bragging about that, because that's really kind of a veteran defensive line. But man, you can push him to the left, you can push him to the right. It's just not strong enough. And your old coach, if he saw you run right through the middle of our old defensive line, he would have chewed that defensive line all probably up and down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm old school, but you know what? The same thing wins now won 50 years ago, and that's the trenches. If you're not strong enough, get out of the way and let somebody do it.
Yeah. All right. X, that's David from Georgia bringing up first person I've heard question our strength and conditioning program. Every number, every result we've got is that they're better, they're stronger, they're more explosive. But against Texas A&M, Will Anderson, who made a 38% leap over last year, that freshman, number 76 for Texas A&M, shut him down. So, what are your thoughts? Do we now need to put Ray and Ballou on notice as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We brought them on supposedly for speed, quickness. We brought them on and to reduce our injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was why we supposedly brought them on. However, I mean, you just can't. There's no substitution for strength on that line, and we don't have a whole lot of mean guys on that like dirty mean like that center week Landon Dickerson. That guy was just mean.
Yeah.
We need some mean bad guys on both sides of the ball. More than just athletes, we need some guys that just badass. Forgive my language, but
yeah,
that's what we need.
Xavier, I'll let you respond, and I got something I want to say about that old school nasty. It reminded me the other day. Go ahead. Now we don't have a good connection with Xavier. So, David, let me tell you with the old school nasty, I was watching the Baltimore Ravens the other day, and watching the Baltimore Ravens, a guy who's playing center right now, okay, for the Baltimore Ravens, is a guy named Bozeman. You remember Bozeman from a few years back? Local Alabama kid, had like 3 stars, but he just wanted to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And he wasn't the most talented guy. He didn't have a flash, but he was just old school nasty. And that's what Landon Dickerson was. Landon Dickerson was the old school nasty guy. So we do miss some of that. I thought Dalcourt had some of that, but we don't. So we'll continue to do that. So let me go ahead and Xavier, I'll let you respond to David, and we got to get to Allen.
Yeah, no, I don't think Ballou or Ray really are the issues in this situation. I just think it's that nastiness. These guys are just as big, just as strong, if not more, than the guys that we've had in recent history. But they're missing that it factor. Yeah, people used to talk about our defense. I saw a guy say we need guys that you got to wonder if they got a criminal record and stuff like that. That was almost like the mentality of the linebackers that we had and the defensive linemen that we had back then, and we just don't have that right now. We don't have that. We don't have that Rolando McClain. We don't have that C.J. Mosley, that Reuben Foster, who were just dirty dogs in the trenches when it comes down to making plays.
Well, and it's some of that the result of 7-on-7 football is it's made elite quarterbacks at extremely young age. It's made really good wide receivers at extremely young age. But has it hurt that alpha dog mentality that you get in offensive linemen doing drive blocking and run blocking and linebackers tackling, because you do 7-on-7 and then you also don't get to tackle the way we used to tackle in full pads. So that's a huge change in the game. And is it just slowly making its way on both sides? Makes the quarterbacks and DBs and wide receivers look really good, but it changes that old school nasty opportunity that you have to create because kids don't tackle as much. Kids aren't run blocking as much. So that may be part of it. Let's get to Alan because he's been patient. Alan, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir? Alan, are you still there? Let's go. Joe in Tuscaloosa, are you there?
Good morning, Martin.
Good morning.
I wanted to mention something I've not heard about that game, the A&M game, but
okay.
I'd like feedback.
Okay.
Every time Alabama's offense, almost every time, had a successful play, a Texas A&M player got hurt. And in other words, they were working to not allow them to get into a rhythm.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer in that. Why can't something be done that if a team has 4 players get hurt and causing a stop of action or the other team from continuing their play, why can't they automatically be charged a timeout or something? Or if it's the same, often it's the same player. If the same player goes down 3 times, why don't they say he can't come in for 15 minutes? He's injured, and he's coming back in and playing and not acting injured, and then he goes down again. I'd like your feedback on how to stop that.
Joe, they have, in the name of they're trying to make everything safer for players, they won't touch that with a 100-foot pole, which I think is hypocrisy. Which by the way, I think is.
Why not if a player goes down multiple times? They say in trying to keep him safe, he has to stay out. So you know what I'm saying. Pick a number, 3.
Yeah.
If he goes down 5 times and a half, then he has to sit out the rest of the game.
But then he would just go down 3, and then they would switch it to another player. I mean, that's what if they're doing it as a tactic, then they would just if it's 3 times and they're faking it, then the guy would just go down once. And I like I said, I don't think they're gonna touch it. They say they're about injury, which Joe is not true, by the way. That you don't talk about expanding playoffs. You don't talk about speeding up the game and have players playing 90 plays versus 70 plays if you're really worried about it. But for all of us out here and those who are oh my God, the football is just too physical. They're making them that way, so they're never going to touch that. And I do think that they need to do something, but it would become a judgment call. I don't know if you saw the Ole Miss game. I think it was Ole Miss against Arkansas. The guy was standing at the line of scrimmage, looking to the sideline for 5 seconds, and then fell, and then walked off the field. So I don't think they're going to do anything about it.
I didn't see that. I've seen games where players turned around and waved to somebody, waved their arms down, and the guy would fall.
Yep. It was the same thing. This was the exact same thing. So, I had not realized that. Xavier, did you? I had not thought about that, but there was times when we would get to rolling that boom, they did drop, and rhythm in offense is very similar to rhythm in shooting, rhythm in other sports as well.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, good eye.
Go down every time we kind of got the ball rolling. It can be frustrating because you're like you're down for 5 minutes acting like you can't move, and then you miss a play. Can it happen? Yes, but realistically, if you're going to be down on the ground grabbing at your ankle like that, you're not going to have the exact same explosion when you come back in the game 3 plays later. Is there anything that can really be done about it? Probably not. Because as you said, if you set a limit on how many times a guy can do it, they'll just do it one less time than they're allowed, or they'll just switch it from guy to guy. I did see someone say maybe if a guy gets hurt, he has to be out a set number of plays, but then that could be detrimental, because if a guy legitimately just kind of tweaks his ankle and has to go down and come out, well, now he might be out the rest of the drive.
Yeah, having played the game, I would be 100% against that, because I have gotten a stinger before, and I would be against, because you're punishing the guys who legitimately get a injury and need to be out a play or two because coaches are thuggish, who are cheating, and you punish the good for the sake of the bad. So I don't like it, but I would rather deal with those few than I would to punish a whole horde of players. Hey, Joe, thanks for the call. Is this your first time calling?
No, I've called a few times.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling again. I appreciate you being a part of the show, man. Call back anytime. And like I said, great eye for that. No one had mentioned that, but it did have happened several times in that game. So great catch, and appreciate you being a part of the show.
It always happened when Alabama had the ball, not when A&M had the ball.
Right. Oh, it was. I mean, like I said, that was part of their strategy based on what you saw. Thank you. All right, coming back on the other side, we'll have Hank South 247 Sports, Bama online recruiting guru. Hey, we'll find out what Bama got in their latest commit and where the Tide sits in the recruiting world. You can be a part of that conversation, 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks, but minor delays on 2059 eastbound because of paving work near exit 71. If you see other conditions, just give us a call. It's big deal savings time right now at Townsend Nissan. Plus, if you stop by today or tomorrow, you can get your picture made with a real Heisman Trophy at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our Pep Talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.com. empowermentcenter.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You're back in with the Martin Houston Show, and we have co-hosting with us today, X's and O's, Xavier Houston. It's now time for us to bring in recruiting guru Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Great follow at Hank South 247. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing great, doing great. Well, Hank, your crystal ball worked out for the Crimson Tide. Tell Alabama fans what they're getting in Mr. Jaleel Skinner.
I mean, just a stellar athlete. I feel like I'm saying that about every Alabama. But no, I mean, just a playmaking tight end. I mean, our publisher Tim Watts made a good point on Bama Online. You know, he's rated a tight end, but you know, I mean, he plays more like a receiver. You know, he just makes really athletic catches, big body, has a huge wingspan. I mean, just kind of everything you're looking for. I would consider him, you know, out of the tight end space. You got Elijah Brown and Amari Niblack. He's probably the most, you know, athletic guy out of the bunch, and you know that's saying a lot. But in terms of, you know, catching the ball, I think he's kind of the guy that has the most skill at that position. And it was funny, they were on the CBS Sports HQ broadcast. Sorry, I got an alarm going off on my phone. On the CBS Sports HQ broadcast, they were trying to come up with comparisons for him, and someone said, well, Jaleel Skinner said he models his game after Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, and one other, and Zach Ertz on the Eagles. And then they compared him to Jared Cook. There's an O.J. Howard comparison. So all these like just awesome comparisons to like how his game is. So I mean, just a big time get. He's rated the number 1 tight end in the 24/7 Sports Composite. That's 3 tight ends in the class for Alabama. So big pickup, and maybe the biggest news of all, we talked about it on the show last week, is, you know, it put Bama back at number 1 in the recruiting rankings. So overall, just good news.
Yeah, he seems to be a lot in line with the tight end that one of the tight ends Alabama currently has in Jaleel Billingsley. Maybe on his way to being a little bigger version of it, a little bit taller, not quite as heavy yet. So it would from the Bama fan standpoint, would you say at this point he's a lot like Jaleel Billingsley, just a bigger frame?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And yeah, obviously he's gonna have to get in the weight room, put on some more pounds. He's about 210 pounds, but you know, I don't think that'll be a huge issue once he gets to Tuscaloosa. So yeah, I think that's another good comparison.
All right, so as we move along, what's next for Bama? I mean, you know, we got that news. Bama making some lists. Any upcoming? Hold on, before I forget, Pat's been waiting patiently. Let me get Pat's question, then I'll come back to mine. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with X's and O's, Xavier Houston, and of course our recruiting guru, Mr. Hank South at 247 Sports.
Good morning, Creek. Wanted to talk a little bit about it. It appears that LSU seems to be imploding down in the bayou. Oh, how you say it looks bad down there. My question is, can Coach Saban, or does Coach Saban want to get in with the big offensive tackle out of Neville High School down in Monroe, Louisiana? You know, we used to own Monroe, Louisiana. What do you think, Hank?
Yeah, you gotta remind me of his name though, real quick.
I think it's Campbell.
Is he on their commitment list?
Yeah, he's a 5-star on LSU's top of LSU's commitment list.
Oh, see, hold on. I don't know why. Maybe it's just too early. It's not ringing a bell for me right now. I'm looking at their list right now.
Pat, you don't know the name, Pat? Come on, Pat.
Hey, I'm having a senior moment. I had the high school right.
I should have. Oh, Will Campbell. I don't know why that wasn't popping up.
That was right. I told you, Campbell.
Yeah, no, you got it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Bama was in. I think they were in his like top 5 before he committed to LSU. So yeah, I mean, I think it all kind of comes down to what's going to happen with Coach O in the next 2 weeks. I know there's a lot of talk and speculation that he might be fired, but then there's also talk that LSU has so many injuries that maybe this will give Coach O another year, so that might help keep their commitment list together, I guess. But yeah, if he does, if LSU does part ways with Ed Orgeron, I think that whole commitment list comes into play. I think Bama loves the offensive lineman they have, but certainly a guy like Will Campbell was someone they were high on, and if he's looking around, I think they would absolutely want to take a look at him as well.
Gotcha. That's what I was wondering about this morning.
Hey, yesterday, you'll get a kick out of this. Yesterday, I was at a meeting with, it was an insurance meeting, which is part of my other gig that I do every day. But Reese Davis was the speaker, and a guy stood up and was talking about buyouts, and he said Coach O. So Reese asked him, was he breaking news right there? Did he know something that no one else knew? So he already had Coach O fired. So we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. So all right.
They got a bunch of money on the bayou.
Yeah.
Y'all have a blessed day, fellas. You're doing a great job, and I'm glad you got Xavier with you too.
Thanks, Pat. All right. Once again, we're speaking with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. X, you had a question for Hank?
Yeah, how you doing today, Hank? I'm good. Xavier, how are you? Doing good. So with a lot, we've talked about the tight ends, we've talked about some of these other positions, but the biggest name that I'm hearing for like the DBs, the secondary, is Earl Little. What's your take on him committing to Alabama?
Yeah, we haven't really talked about him much late. I mean, I feel like we were talking about him every other day back in the summer, but I still think Bama has a great chance to add him to their class. He hasn't really been shy about his love for Bama either. He named Alabama his leader. I want to say back in the spring, maybe early summer. Then he came on an official, or he hasn't come on an official visit yet. He came for an unofficial visit in June. Once again, said Bama was his top school. That was his number one school. Came back in July for the Champions Cookout, reaffirmed Bama as his number one school, and then every time we've talked to him, that's been the case. The only question is, why is he committed if Bama's been his number one school? He said he said all along he wants to take it slow, wants to enjoy the recruiting process, and obviously he's a kid that he doesn't need to rush it. He's got a spot at most of the schools he's looking at, or all of them. So I still think Bama's in the driver's seat for Earl Little. He'll be back on campus in a few weeks for the LSU game on an official visit. I think if we were talking to him right now, he would say Bama is still his leader. So the schools to watch, Florida's pushing for him. Miami, obviously, where his dad played, is trying to keep him in South Florida. I'm sure there's some other programs. USC, I think, was in the mix. I would say LSU, but I think they've kind of fallen back for him throughout the process. So I think Bama's still in good shape.
Okay, and Denver Harris, I know he's the other big corner prospect that isn't really committed right now, but he's in that same class of Earl Little and Damani Jackson. Some of the things he said has been interesting, but is Alabama still a favorite for him, or have we kind of slid back?
No, I think Bama's still, he's a little bit more reserved in terms of, who he says his top schools are. He's put out a top 4, Bama, Texas, LSU, and Texas A&M. So, he's not saying his favorites, but the kind of belief among recruiting circles is, that the Bama is trending for him. And it's been back and forth with Denver Harris. I know LSU was trending at one point. At one point, it was considered a Texas A&M battle. Texas had some momentum at various junctures in his recruitment, but Bama is believed to be trending now. There was some thought he might commit on September 22nd, his birthday. He went ahead and held off. I think he took a visit to Texas a couple weekends after that, or the next weekend. So he's still looking at all these schools. He hasn't made his mind up yet, but I think Bama has put themselves in pretty good position for him as well. And then Damani Jackson, the 5-star USC commit. That's kind of just where I'm waiting to see with that one because, obviously USC part of was Clay Helton. He reaffirmed his commitment to USC. He said, he was confident they were going to hire a good head coach. But, he is still considering Alabama and Michigan. Those are the 2 schools he said he's still looking at. He already took his visit to Michigan. He's going to be at Alabama for the LSU game as well. So that's just shaping up to be a massive weekend for Alabama recruiting with all the guys coming in on official visits for that game. So still a long way to go to Damani Jackson, but out of those 3 defensive backs, I think those are probably the 3 guys. 3 guys obviously the most notable in terms of ranking, but probably the guys to watch closest, especially Earl Little and Denver Harris.
All right, Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, 2 quick questions. One is, in any of the recruiting battles where Alabama, Texas, and Oklahoma may be going against for the same guy head to head, have you heard anything yet in regards to the fact that those 2 schools are coming to the SEC, making maybe some of the potential immediate guys and younger guys look more seriously at those 2 schools now?
There hasn't been big, I heard a ton of discussion that I've heard yet, just because it's not clear on when those moves actually
right.
Made, or Texas and Oklahoma are going to be there next year. Is it going to be 2025? So, I don't think guys are basing decisions off that just yet until there's more, solid
definitive,
what's going to happen. So, that's I haven't heard too much yet, but I think that will have a big impact on recruitment, in the future.
Yeah, because it was guys that we lost, I think, to Texas A&M that we probably would not have lost in times past if they were not in the SEC, and I see that becoming a challenge moving forward. The other side, flipping over to basketball, Reese Davis announced yesterday they have some site at ESPN where they can go and see, and maybe we have access to it too. I just don't know what it is. But it shows the most marketable players on Alabama's basketball team. I mean, on the campus of Alabama, and it was J.D. Davison and Quinterly. Good news for Nate Oates in the name, image, and likeness world with him trying to close out some of these big 5 stars and battling against G League and overseas and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kids are paying attention to that now. That's part of the recruiting pitch since July when that all went into place. But obviously, they haven't been struggling in the recruiting department. They did recently with the 5-star point guard. I feel like every 5-star recruit considering Alabama, it feels like when Jaden Bradley committed, someone said Alabama is officially a one and done school. NBA stop. Was maybe not wrong, with some of these guys, but no, I mean, you're still waiting on decisions from guys like Brandon Miller, the 5-star forward that is heavily considering Alabama. I think he might be taking a visit to Kansas this week. I need to double check, but battling Kansas, you're in good shape when you're going head to head with Kansas and the G League for some guys.
Absolutely.
Mixed for. And then Drace Walker, obviously the 5-star power forward from IMG Academy that's roommates with Jaden Bradley. So, you got a all day long recruiter there for Alabama with Drace Walker. So, I think we'll probably see some more momentum start to bubble up here towards the early signing period next month with basketball. But either way, Bama's really started to pick up some traction there.
Yeah, and that was my point. Is they're already doing great, and now the top, not football players, 2 basketball players that viewed as the most marketable, financially beneficial from the name, image, and likeness on the basketball court can't hurt but help Nate Oates get better. Tell us real quick what you got coming up, sir.
Yeah, just we got recruiting content coming out. I think it's like 1 month or 2 months until the early signing period, so it's kind of coming up quick. But lots of stuff happening with the recruiting cycle, with guys committing, with the class, rising in the rankings. So BamaOnline.com, and then my Twitter handle is @HankSouth247.
All right, that's at HankSouth247. We'll get the break here. Thanks, Hank. We appreciate you coming back on the other side. We'll have the Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks, but minor delays on 2059 eastbound because of paving work near exit 71. If you see other conditions, just give us a call. It's big deal savings time right now at Townsend Nissan. Plus, if you stop by today or tomorrow, you can get your picture made with a real Heisman Trophy at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. But Thursday morning, the State Bureau of Investigation is exploring the fatal shooting of a Vestavia Hills man who was killed in the mid-county town of West Blockton. That happened on Sunday. 21-year-old Mustafa Al-Kiswana was found dead in a church parking lot on Camp Ranch Road. The victim's body has been sent to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences for an autopsy. No further details have been released by authorities. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
Don't miss USA's new shoppable live competition series. Entrepreneurs pitch new products that you can buy live. And whoever sells the most gets a chance at a life-changing deal with one of America's biggest retail giants. Shop live and decide whose dreams come true on America's Big Deal, a shoppable live competition series. Live tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on USA Network.
Brought to you by AutoZone. Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. That was great content from Hank South 247 Sports. Follow at Hank South 247. Oh man, we had some conversation going with you, Xavier, about being a coach. We may have to kick that can down the road because we had other content come in because of callers and people are responding to that. So the Hacker Shack, that's what CJ Watson calls the injury. It's the college football version of Hacker Shack. Teams legitimately using players to fall down and pretend to be injured. Ole Miss used it last week against Arkansas. Joe of Tuscaloosa said, hey, they used it against Alabama. And Curtis Moore saying the player should be out 4 plays. That's good until it's your quarterback, because you can't judge. You can't be the guy that judges and says, "Oh, he's really injured," and he's not. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, definitely. It's the catch-22. You want it to work when it's being used to
stop you,
cut your momentum, but then you turn around and, like you say, it's your quarterback, it's your All-American left tackle, your Heisman-winning wide receiver, and next thing you know, they're out 4 or 5 plays, and it could cost your team a touchdown or another injury.
Yes, and that's the problem is there's just no way to manage it. I hope they don't get into that. I already have a big enough problem when we give judgment calls on targeting and stuff like that, and players aren't really trying to hit the guy, and the guy ducks, and then the player's thrown out of the game. This be another semi-punishment to legit guys that actually get hurt. But it may just be a stinger one-play type of injury. Virgil Williams said, we're filled with talent across the board, but we're missing those alpha dogs. We've always had that old school nasty in different positions at the same time. We don't have an elite safety this year, no real elite linebacker, which is surprising. Elite talent, but not playing elite at linebacker. And to this point, none on the D-line with any consistency. Mathis was improving, did not have a great game against A&M. Was that A&M or was that him? Same thing on the O-line, no alpha dogs there either. All the talent in the world without that leadership or hard-nosed desire does nothing. Thoughts, Xavier?
I mean, I think Evan Neal is the alpha dog,
but he's quiet.
But he's quiet. He's quiet, but it's also he's at the end of the line, and the issues are on the opposite side. You really don't see the impact from that alpha dog on the offensive line unless it's the center. Landon could control the entire line as the alpha dog, where Evan at best can only help him and just Javon Cohen on that left side.
I would say that Dickerson was such an impact. Dickerson, when he was at right guard, impacted Jedrick Wills in the center, and then of course that bled over to the other guys. I think he made everybody better because he was a true alpha dog in his attitude, his work ethic, and his vocal things on and off the field. That's what Alabama needs. We'll talk more about something you brought up. We'll talk about that tomorrow regarding Igor and the impact of where he's located, as well as Cedric Chambers asked the question or made the statement he doesn't think Will Anderson is 100%. We'll kick that to tomorrow's conversation as well. Tell them where they can find you, X.
You can find me at XO Sports across all platforms, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, podcast. It doesn't matter. X's and O Sports. You can find me there.
All right, that's X and O. He'll be back with us again on tomorrow to co-host the Martin Houston Show right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. All your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9.
You too. Have a good one.
Tide 100.9.